So I'm going to talk about a couple different visual perceptual skills, not all of them because it encompasses a wide realm, but I want to talk about the ones that are very important. And so on all of these pages, you're going to notice I have some examples, and so these examples are just a test plate that we kind of look at how to evaluate these skills in one facet. So the first skill is visual discrimination. And essentially what this is, if you look at the top shape, the child has to find the exact same shape on the bottom. So it's a matching task. So we can start matching very early on. Is this a triangle matched with a triangle, or are they matching a triangle and a square? So easy matching tasks. And then you can take it on to everyday things. If you ask the child to empty the dishwasher, can they pick out all the forks? Can they pick out all the spoons? But this also comes to play in things with education. So if you're learning language arts and the child is trying to figure out sight words, is them the same as then? They look very similar. Are they different? And so if a child's having a harder time with visual discrimination, maybe they don't realize that there's one extra hump on the M as opposed to the N after they've looked at the entire word. This next skill, form constancy, I feel like is very interesting. So with form constancy, essentially, you see the cylinder on the top. With form constancy, the child has to figure out if the cylinder is twisted on the side, you can see letter A is the appropriate cylinder. So if you have a shape, and you flip it upside down or turn it on its side, is it still the same shape? So I can have my game, and if I hold my game like this, versus if I flip it like this, it's still the same game. So a child's going to have to figure out if they're looking at something, is it the same? This becomes very, very difficult when you're learning because what if you have a small letter B? What happens if you flip a letter B? Is it still a small B? In our world, it becomes a small D. Or you flip it again, it's a letter P. Or a letter Q, very, very difficult. And so unfortunately, this is one of those skills that often gets overlooked, but they need to figure out if it's different, or even if they see something that is a really big object, is it still the same if it's a small object? It's always going to be the same letter. The next slide we're going to talk about is figure ground. And the thing about figure ground is, this is one of those things that really relates to reading as well. So this is basically, you have a crowded environment, what's the important thing in there? So you can see here, there's the balloon. Which one of those pictures has the balloon in it? It gets much harder when there's a lot more crowding going on. So if you have a child who, in easy terms, you can say, where's your pink sock? Go in your room, and if they have a messy room, they're gonna have to sort through and find it. But if you're looking at a page of words, you can't clear things out. So if you're asking them to find some information, they can't clear it out like they can clear out their toys or their other clothes. They need to find that one specific thing. So a lot of kids that I see with this is when they were starting out reading, they did great. So when you first start out, you have the big page with the bright picture, maybe 3 to 5 words on a page. The kid can really see those because the words are evenly spaced and there's not much going on. But then as things get harder and harder, 4th grade, 5th grade, things become very difficult. Because what happens, we get smaller words, things get closer together, and kids have a really hard time picking out what's important. Visual closure. So with this task, what the child's asked to do, they see part of something. Their mind has to visualize what the rest of this is. So I know that there's a chair over there behind that podium. I can see part of the chair. I can't see the whole thing, but my mind can put it together that there's a whole chair there. But this is essentially just visualization. Visualization studies have been found that says this really relates to reading and the mind's eye and forming that picture inside the brain. So when you're reading, there are some kids that they'll play a movie in their mind. If you say the dog ran with the boy, they have a picture of a blonde boy running with a golden retriever down the street. But then there are certain kids who have very poor visual closure. They'll read and they say, the dog. And they're trying to get the words. They see each individual word, but they don't see the picture. They can't picture it. So imagine if you're doing a comprehension test. Who's going to remember more? The child who has this vivid movie playing in his head, or the child that just looks and they just see words and they're trying to make sense of what's going on? And then they might not remember as much as they would if somebody who just has this vivid image.